Roses and Thorns. I'm taking a little break. I've been pretty much cleaning and organizing since about 7 o'clock this morning. So it's time for a break. Um, I've been asked, they said, how are you able to do so much in your home and have it look very nice? And I knew the point they were getting to about how do I afford to make something look expensive. It's not really expensive, but it looks expensive. It came from my background, probably my grandparents. I stayed with them. They were a bit on the poor side, so they learned how to decorate, create, stretch food, all of that type thing, and always had plenty of money left over to get like gifts and the other things that they needed. Whereas when I moved in with my mom and dad, my dad was from sort of a wealthy family and of bankers. So he was pretty good at, he's pretty good. I don't say he was, he is pretty good at finances. My mother, grew up with my grandparents, she learned how to stretch things. So if, say we were short on food or anything, she knew how to stretch it. She would take flour and she would make biscuits. We would dip it in syrup, until they got established. Earlier in their marriage, they did those type things. And my dad, who was very good and is very good at finances, he set a budget for our home where he would take so much of his money, put it into savings, and would never touch it. Don't touch it. He utilized employer plans, whereas your employer will match, or you set up 401ks. My mother, eventually she moved from her secretarial job to the director of a company, but until then, even once they were established, we still kept budgets in the house, whereas we could not go over certain amounts for like school clothing. Everything was very organized, even down to the finances, even to the house. My mother is extremely, she's obsessively more so than I am in cleaning. But my dad had taken a part-time job outside of his teaching job. This was before he became a principal. And my brother and I would go to work with him. And a lot of times the people that he had contracted with would give us like extra items, like cleansing items, things needed for a house. Sometimes even like free toothpaste and things like that. That came with some of the perks of having that side cleaning business. And so now, even being partially disabled, I still keep that system in my head of how they would run our house. So I limit myself. I'll set aside just a small amount for entertainment. This is what my dad told me to do. He said, no matter what you do, you always pay yourself first. Don't worry about those people out there begging you for money or asking you for money. Always pay yourself first. So, whenever I get any types of money, be it through work, be it from my entry, I pay myself first. It might be as little as $50 to $100, and that's gonna be my budget. I'm not gonna go over. And out of those things, I will set aside a few dollars for entertainments. And then if like, I try to keep things stocked up, but if I give out a toothpaste, I go immediately and replace those things. I might get toothpaste, toiletries. I don't drink. That's another thing. I don't drink, so none of my money goes on alcohol. I don't smoke, so none of that goes on cigarettes. So any extra money, I save it. I just keep it for emergencies. And then when I go shopping, I get things that are going to last for a good while, Now, I will invest in like my shoes. I will invest in clothing, furniture, those things that will last. And then any decorative items, I usually create them myself. I also go to exclusive thrift shops where things are barely used, but I can get them at a lower price. Also, there are places like Poshmark. My older daughter actually sells on Poshmark. You can find, if you're into Gucci or Louis Vuitton or anything like that, they sell those type things on there for like a portion of the price. You can also some Goodwills, because the Goodwill here where we stay would get like the overage from Targets. And recently Target's closed, so a lot of those clothing and items went to the Goodwill. And you can go over there and get a lot of those items for a portion of the price. I'm not that girl who likes to get her nail. I don't like getting my nails. My nails grow naturally long, so I don't spend money on nails. I don't spend money on luxurious hairstyles unless I'm just going out. I might go get it done, but I can do most of my hairstyles myself. I use natural. If I don't put a lot of junk on my face, because actually it does more harm than good, because your body system has a natural way of pushing skin off, moisturizing your skin. So if you're just putting tons of moisturizers on your skin, you're actually causing yourself to age faster. Just like my Christmas tree, I don't like cutting down real trees. So I create a tree like, let me see if I can turn this around, like that. All it took was garland, lights, and some Christmas ornaments to create that. These type things like what I have over here, that came from places like Wayfair, where they sell wonderful furniture in there that lasts a long time, but it's low price. You can get gorgeous lamps, beds, They have the platform beds that run from anywhere from $89 on up. But those beds really last. So you don't have to be rich. You just have to know how to use what you have and use it properly. Now, I'm not a splurger. I'm usually pretty grounded when it comes to any finances. Now, I'm sometimes a giver, but what I do, if I get that urge to give, there is a limit. I never splurge on anything. I don't splurge on giving. Now, I've even learned some new things. Whereas I have a friend who knows how to really stretch a dollar, and I've been introduced to a store that I had never gone into, a Dollar Tree. I can find tapes, toothpastes, deodorants, almost everything in there, for a low, low price. And see, that saves me a lot of money to use for gas in my car. And I do use, like, if I go to Kroger, I have one of those savings cards so I can save on gas. I look for bargains well, I have like the Sam's card, but the thing is, I didn't get it. One of my sons has two jobs, and one of them happens to be with a Sam's Club. Therefore, I can get perks off of his, discount cards. I can get a complimentary card. So that helps out a lot. So if you have family members that work in these places, ask them, hey, can you get me this? Or, and you can get discounts. Other things, let me see what else do I do. Oh, because I was inactive in the Islamic belief or the way of life, I used to I'm returning to that, whereas I eat before the sun comes up. And then I'll go all day just fast with liquids. And then when the sun goes down, I will eat. Sometimes if my glucose is a little off, I might eat a meal in the middle of the day. Other ways, before I do any kind of shopping or any kind of short trips, I actually make sure I pay all my bills first. Sometimes I will pay like my bills in advance, a couple of months in advance. I've always done that. And then if you pay things in advance, you get the important things. My dad used to tell me the most important thing: food, shelter. Always make sure you have shelter and food. Those are the most important things, and the things that run that shelter, like electric, water, gas. Always pay those bills first. I mean, no exception. Your hair is not more important than having a roof over your head. Having luxurious nails is not more important than having a place to lay your head or a roof over your head. And then whatever extra you have, you can put it into savings. I have this thing where I'm learning to put, I don't care if it's $1 or $2, I invest it in the stock market. I don't care if it's $1 or $2, because sometimes you can put that $1 or $2 in there when the stock drops. You want to buy it when it's low. And then you study it for a while, you ask somebody who has more knowledge about it. And when it goes up, you can sell it. And so now your $2 is $10. Or if you invested $10, now that $10 of stock that you bought is now maybe $50, or no matter how much you put in there, you put as much as you want in there. But the thing is, you own a portion of those companies when you buy stock. So it's not like you're just throwing your money away. You own a portion of these different companies that you invest in. I teach my younger son, he has Listen, whereas the younger you start, the better. Whereas I told him whatever employer plan that he has, like whether it be Merrill Lynch 401k or retirement plan, invest in it, because most employers will match whatever you put in. And see, by the time a person reaches their 40s, if they start like as a teen, and by the time they reach their 40s, they can almost have a early retirement. If you start much later, well, you can accumulate a pretty much cushion for yourself within like maybe 5 or 10 years. That's according to what you're investing in. But no, I'm not a splurger at all. I do like taking short trips. I love historical places. I love historical parks. I love going to the Smoky Mountains. It's not very expensive. A lot of people think that it's expensive to travel. It's not. You can find deals certain times of the year where you can take off to California in coach for $100 or less. I remember during COVID, you could, from Georgia to New York, you could fly for like $35. You just have to find the deals. And they have flights, my cousin, but you have to have the money saved. She took a trip to France for $400, but there was a catch. You have to be ready to go just like that. I mean, really quickly. There are going to be a lot of layovers. So she had like her best friend with her. So it was a lot of fun for them. She said when they would have layovers, they would just explore the little area. They wouldn't go far. But that's the trade-off. You're going to have layovers. So just enjoy wherever you are. Stay in the moment. You can do a lot of different things without having a lot of money. And if you do have a set amount of money where you're getting a paycheck, you can always find deals. I'm not a splurger. Like, I'm like this. If, say I have Netflix, a couple of movie channels on my TV, I'm not going to go into a movie theater and spend, to watch a movie in a theater when I can eventually see it on my pay for television, unless I just want to feel like going out and being around others while I watch a movie. But I'm like this, I don't have to be the first one to see it. I will eventually see it. That is just how I am. Oh, I'd rather cook at home than to eat in a restaurant. Yes, I do treat myself occasionally. If I go on a date, yes, I will go to a restaurant. But even then, I'm like, okay, let's get this as opposed to that. I'm not the kind of person who breaks a person's pocket. And I don't like, if I'm the one who's paying, I don't want you trying to break my pocket because I'm going to put a limit on it. That's just who I am. It's very hard to get money. It's very hard to earn money. And when you get it, you have to use it in the best ways. I don't take frivolous trips in my car. I plan my trips. I might take one day or a couple of days out of the week just to have fun and ride. That's according to how my budget is or how a friend's budget might be. I've gotten to the point I don't let my friends overspend. I'm like, hey, you can get that instead of that. That's just the way my mind works. I'm like, okay, instead of wanting to get a fancy meal today, why don't we just go to the grocery store, grab some things, either cook it or make a sandwich and sit in the park or something like that. That's just me. And that comes from, I guess, just experience or watching my parents and how they dealt with money. And because they were able to set limits on their spending, they were able to travel to Alaska, take cruises all over the world, because they didn't just splurge and throw money away. Like some people are compulsive buyers, like just buy stuff just to be buying or just to have it. And some people have the misconception that, oh, if I'm spending money, people are going to think I'm rich. Now, honey, when I look at something like that, I'm like, she probably eating bologna sandwiches at home just to impress. You don't spend to impress. That's something that will have you broke or struggling for a very long time. And those bigger things that you want, you're not going to be able to get because you're spending them on frivolous things. I mean, how many clothes can you wear at one time? How many shoes can you wear at one time? It's okay to have nice things, but you have to prioritize things. Things can break down. Things can't need maintenance. They used to have shoe stores where my dad would take his leather shoes to get repaired instead of constantly buying new shoes. And believe it or not, where I lived and grew up, they had millionaires over the bridge. And I was working for Sears Termite and Pest Control, and I would go in their homes, these humongous mansions. And they were dressed all elegantly. They had on maybe nice slacks and shirt. They don't bling bling, like you see, like the rappers and all that stuff. And half the time you wouldn't even know that they were billionaires or millionaires. They shop in Walmart. They have very peculiar taste, some of them, yes. But I asked this one man, he was sitting at his computer every day, when I was doing his pest control. And it took me, I think, about 3 days to do his whole house. And he was always sitting at a computer. I say, "Sir, what do you do?" He say, "I invest in the stock market." I said, "The stock market?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I get paid dividends quarterly. You invest, you can sell or trade." He said, "When it gets up to a certain amount, you can sell." So he taught me. I listened, I asked questions, and that's how I learned partially about the stock market. I don't do it heavily, but like I said, if I have a few dollars left over and the stock drops, the price of it drops, I'll buy it while it's low. And luckily, it will go up. But those are just a few things that I do. I don't spend extravagantly. No, not on things that some people would spend on. I'd rather travel. I'd rather have experiences than a lot of material things. I don't like a lot of clutter. I like open space. Most of my living space is open space, but it has few things of nice furniture in here that's with my own little twist and taste. But to invest in things that I consider that can rot or decay, I don't. But my dad did tell me, he said, if you can't touch it, he said, if you get a paycheck and you can't touch something, buy something that you can touch, that means you're probably throwing it away unless you're traveling. So, if, say, a person does drink a lot or smoke a lot or party a lot, if at the end of the week or the following month you turn around and say, where did my money go? What did I invest in? And you have nothing physically to touch or to show for that money, most likely you're throwing it away. And, well, those are just a little tidbits on some of the things I've learned over the years, and that has helped me to live comfortably in any situation. Even at one time, I was homeless, really, but I was able because I found like this shelter is more like a hotel. I stayed there, got myself together real quick. I had gone through some domestic violence at one time, and it didn't take me long to get right back on track, because the moment I got hold to some money, I found me a place to stay. And I don't know, I just know how to work things that way. Whereas I know how to organize finances. I don't care how little I have or how much I have, I just know how to work it. And you have to learn how to work it. They have food. I learned about food banks. Like if I was low on food, I've learned a lot of ways to stretch food. We used to have where our neighbors would get together and bring like a dish, and we would sit around and eat together when our food or money was low. That was another good thing. Our family, if one is short and one has, we'll go over and we'll share like potluck. Everybody brings a dish. Everybody has to bring something. And then even with friends, if I have more than what they have at the time, I will fix plates and share those plates, you know. I have fed many of people because I've been in the place where I've needed to be fed. So when I have, I give. When they have, they give. So it's like a kind of like a little community thing to keep everybody's head above water. But if one person is being overly selfish and they're not really giving, well, that's going to affect you. My parents have always been very big givers to the community. When they were established, they would give to the point where my dad would pay for a couple of people's education to go to college. My mother would like help them find housing, things like that. So when you get established and you can do things for other people, you do them, because when you give, all that comes back. They've never wanted for anything, not even now in their elderly age. They still have people that look out for them. Teenagers that I've looked out for are now adults in these different positions. They remember the kindness that I show them. So that helps out a lot. Always be kind. But those are just few other things that might help you out. See you later. I need to get back and hang up the rest of those clothes.